But yes, addiction has many levels. There's definitely some folks that are just more prone to it, but a big thing that I see as part of the issue is not having other coping skills.
Can you have addiction even if you haven't had trauma?
Yes, of course. So addiction is multifaceted, all right? So one of the most important things that can cause addiction is genetic precursor, right? There are certain families where you can see addictions are running through it, right? Whether there's a series of alcoholics, people with different kinds of drug addiction. Sometimes it'll show up in different ways. I'm watching This Is Us with my son Solomon. We wanted a good drama. And it's hard to find a good drama nowadays, where you can learn about family and life. And we just saw the scene where Kevin, one of the sons, is in his rehab, and he was talking about addiction, how he's an alcoholic and his father's an alcoholic and his grandfather's an alcoholic, but also his sister is a food addict, right? So his sister is dealing with morbid obesity. She was over 400. I think her highest weight was 400 pounds, the actress, but, in the show as well. And so, showing how addictions can show up in different ways. So there's definitely a genetic component to actually being more susceptible to addiction. And then on top of that, there's the exposure to the behavior, right? So when you've been around people who cope in that way, you learn your coping or lack thereof from your family of origin, right? So if you learned that when it's stressful out, you eat, or when you're stressed, you drink, or whatever it is, that you learn those coping skills or lack of coping skills from family as well. So there's the addiction component that's genetic, there's the behavioral that you learn, and then there's also different kinds of stressors that can lead you to seek out food addictions or food as a way of coping with really scary or unhealthy things going on in your life. So with children, they can't escape traumatic backgrounds or traumatic homes, right? They can't get out, so they have to find a way to feel better while not leaving. And so that can involve dissociation or drugs or food, whatever it is. A lot of the folks I work with, they say, I've actually had them say, sugar's always been my best friend. It saved me when I was scared. It saved me when I felt alone or depressed. And so we have to talk about that in a different way, that you're not giving up your best friend, right? That this was a coping skill that helped you survive, and now it's causing you to be sick. But yes, addiction has many levels. Some people are just more physically prone to it than others. I'm sure all of you know someone who's not a food addict, right? Someone was like, oh, that was easy. I just don't eat that anymore, right? Like the smoker who said, yeah, I just quit one day. All right, you weren't really as addicted to those other folks who have to quit 30 times before they can do it. Right. So there's definitely some folks that are just more prone to it. But a big thing that I see as part of the issue is not having other coping skills. If we can get people addicted to something else, it works better, right? If someone who's normally using drugs or alcohol or sugar, if we can get them really into exercise where they're getting that dopamine hit every day, they tend to not crave the stuff that they were addicted to before. So you can be addicted to that dopamine rush and change that over into someone who's addicted to fun and exercise. And that's really what I do in my programs, right? My rapid recovery programs, they actually don't meet plan unless they have enough self-care. So it's not just diet, but are you sleeping, are you getting self-care? And the self-care, I teach that in the first week, because I know that if I can get high enough levels of self-care where they feel the endorphins, the dopamine, oxytocin, if they can get all those feelings in, they're going to be able to come off the foods they're addicted to more easily. But if they don't, they're going to feel bereft and in withdrawal and want to dive into those foods in order to feel better too. So all of those things are part of what leads to food addictions and helps people overcome them.